When Uranus was opposing my Jupiter, I was about 17, 18, and the first thing I did, the first opportunity that presented itself to me, I travelled. I went hitchhiking with a friend, a very long distance from the west country of England up to the sort of Scottish Highlands. And there were no motorways in those days in the higher regions of that journey. And so the trip was old-fashioned hitchhiking at its best, where we would stop at different transport cafes. And even in my own country, I was having culture shocks by eating different foods and hearing different accents and being vulnerable on the road, sleeping rough somewhere or other, and day after day after day. And it was fantastic. And I did the same a year later when, having left school, that freedom urge, school's out forever feeling, um, took me and a different friend off again on another hitchhiking journey, this time to Italy. Now, these were in the days before anybody did hitchhiking and backpacking. Backpacking became so popular later, but at that time it was just unheard of, and I just needed to be away from it all. And so we went to places very close at hand, from England to Belgium. Is hardly a culture shock, but it was for us at that time because they had cobblestones on their roads and we didn't. And they had Stella Artois lager. I didn't know what lager was until I went to Belgium, and it was strong. We didn't know about their bank holidays and ran out of food, and we had to steal a few potatoes from some farmer's field. And we had all of these adventurous things, sleeping on the banks of the Rhine near Koblenz. It was a sloping um, place. He sort of fell, we sort of slid down the slope almost into the river. And then sleeping in garages and getting kicked off the motorway by the German police. Verboten, they said, verboten. And all of these were new experiences, and the heat of Italy and their way of life, and everything was so very different that culture shock awakened me to the existence of a wider world. My parents, having been very conservative people, and also my friends' parents were conservative, so the whole background of my life was, this is how it is, this is how it needs to be, and anybody who isn't doing it that way is wrong, basically. And of course, teenagers are going to be pointed at as being wrong anyway. But somehow I was a little bit more strange than that, and even my own friends kind of disavowed me because of my yearning for freedom from this strangulation of the conservative background that I had. So traveling was awakened during that time, but there's another form of traveling which was more on the philosophical side. And at that time, there were books available that were discussing Eastern religions, and I learned something about Buddhism and Hinduism and so on, and books by Hermann Hesse, um, Jack Kerouac, particularly on the road. He was promoting the idea of complete freedom and also looking into Buddhism and so on. So this whole philosophical yearning to move away from the old-fashioned way of doing things and seeing things was awakened at that time. And the gift of Uranus is that sense of having fresh eyes to look upon the world. Also, a huge amount of energy goes with that. And I just couldn't stop moving. I was so energetic, so restless. I even did unnecessary sort of trips when I got back to England, hitchhiking around just for the fun of it when I was 18, and there was just no need. I just needed to move. And Jack Kerouac was a major hero in my life, yearning for the same degree of freedom. On the philosophical level, you have to consider John Steinbeck and Camus, the existentialists, um, Sartre, um, the Tin Drum, Gunter Grass. All of these weird writings were food for my mind, which had been so disciplined into what the system wanted me to be. We were told what to learn at school, and we were made to take examinations into that, so there's no way out of it. And yet I wanted to learn other stuff. I wanted to know the secrets of the universe, and nobody else did. You know, I was weird by their standards, my friends at school. So I had this tremendous opening of my consciousness at that time, and it just never closed. It wasn't a temporary thing. I think we have to understand that with these outer planet transits, they're not temporary. They're permanent shifts into a different realm of being. And in this particular case, I was booted out of the door of my comfort and security, outdoors, on the road, traveling, because adventure requires discomfort. And equally, I was booted out of my safe environment of school knowledge and inspecting books that were just quite different from anything written before. So that awakening was a huge shift forward in my consciousness, which lasted permanently. I mean, I haven't stopped showing an interest in new ideas and reading books on weird philosophy. I haven't ever stopped. It was the beginning of something that's lasted 50 years or more. So I think that's what I take as my Uranus opposing Jupiter.
Uranus opposite Jupiter transit. The urge for freedom offers the necessary tension to bring greater awareness of our current vision and higher principles. Our sense of greater faith vibrates at the very core, leaving us excited or reeling with the seemingly impossible integration of confusion, genius, and reinvention all at the same time. Expansion of self occurs in erratic steps and feels unpredictable at this time, and we impulsively attach ourselves to ideologies that favor unapologetic liberation of the self. Traveling facilitates this expansion of self, and we are more than happy to sail uncharted waters, even if only symbolically, with our fearless, even extravagant celebration of adventure. Yet we must be careful not to approach novelty with utter recklessness, or to act wastefully with our newfound energies. Once the storm settles, we may well discover an ability to awaken our inner priest at any time, drawing on the matured wisdom rather than grandeur and pride, being mature and awakened enough to devote ourselves to sacred principles.